What's good, y'all? What's good? What's good? What's good? I didn't do my little intro that I like to do, because I fucked it up on my little last time. So, and I'm gonna delete that if you guys saw it. I hope y'all didn't, because I'll be fucking up. But I'm learning and I'm getting better. And hold on, let me do this so I can make sure that people can join. Because this did not go the way I normally do this, because this is a different kind of broadcast than I normally do. Because, you know, we got to do things different. We're going to grow, we're going to change. Anyways, this one is not so serious. That's why I don't have my suit jacket on. And I kind of like, this is just stuff to think about. I want you guys to, use your own mind and take all this stuff with a grain of salt. But this is a really interesting stuff, I think. And I couldn't find the clip point. I couldn't find an edit point for this damn video. So we're going to watch this together, and hopefully I can find the edit point in it. I already watched this video earlier, and it was profound. So I'm going to watch it again a second time with y'all, and we're going to talk about it afterwards. And I mean, like I say, it's really, really interesting stuff. And some of this stuff you'd have to have done some reading and studying to understand, but some of the stuff you don't have to have done reading and studying to understand. But for you guys that have done reading and studying on metaphysics, like spirituality, religion, if you went down some really deep rabbit holes before, then this guy here, the stuff he's going to be talking about is going to be igniting your little trigger, tingling your spine, because it totally did me. Just stuff to think about to get your mind working. And like I said, we're gonna talk about it. I really, really enjoyed it, and maybe you guys can go check out this guy's thing. What is his name? Hold on, give me a second. I want to tell y'all the name before we start the video, because I don't know if it's gonna be in there. He's probably gonna say it, but hold on, let me double check this really quickly. New Life Tools. Okay, so I gotta give him a shout out since I'm freaking finna play a good portion of his video. It's New Life Tools. That's the name. It's NULYFE Tools. So yeah, if you guys are interested in more stuff from him, then go to his channel and check it out. But anyways, I'm gonna share this with y'all, because if y'all haven't seen this guy's stuff, then you're gonna freaking probably enjoy this. So let's see if I can do this without fucking it up.
Piece of family, piece of tribe, piece of New Life Tools tribe, piece of TP family, piece of TP nation, piece of the Aquatic Ape Nation. This is your brother Yosef. And I'm back with another video. Alright, I'm back with another video, family. So, in this video, family, we're going to talk about the primordials. Okay, this is a video that has been requested for about a year and a half now, ever since I mentioned it in one of my videos. So I want to catch up a lot more now on my requested videos, okay? It's a lot of things people request, but I've already talked about it in the videos. They just have to go back in those videos and watch it. So like somebody may request chakras. I've talked about chakras. I got a whole video on chakras, right? Somebody may ask me, hey, can you request a video on repeating numbers? What does repeating numbers mean? I did a video on that, okay? So we're going to go a little bit deeper here. We're going to talk about primordials. I mentioned it once, who are the primordials, and we're going to cover that in this video and get right into it, right? So before I start, I just want to say that we relaunched the Tribology clothing line. So you guys can support right on the TP Ministries website. So we pretty much the same design. We just relaunched it. We tightened it up. Shout out to Minister Atian and Minister Kondo for pretty much creating this design. Kondo originally created the design, and Minister Atian kind of touched it up a little bit. We made it bigger, you know what I mean? So Tribology, all right, that's something we created. That's lifestyle. Tribology is lifestyle. Study your family. That's what the tribe is, all right? So you can find it on tpministries.org, and that will be below the video. Also, family, I want to say thank you to you guys for helping me reached 20,000 subscribers. I'm really grateful for that. A lot of you guys have been with me from the beginning. I mean, I talk to people on consultations that remember that started with me back in 2018 when I first started my videos. All right, so I want to say thank you to you guys. I also want to say thank you for everyone who hung in there with me. That's still a subscriber, and you're still here. A lot of stuff I've been telling you guys since 2018 is starting to come true. So you guys are seeing that. So I'm grateful for you guys to be here and witness this stuff. All right. I'm just doing the will of the one that sent me, the creator. Okay. So let's get into this video, family. But thank you guys. I want to say thank you guys. And just anyone who ever supported me. Thank you all. I really appreciate it. Brother Yosef is a busy person. I can't always get to everybody. Right. So if I never got into your message, I apologize. But I just can't get to everybody. I'm a one-man show. All right. With this whole New Life Tools thing. All right. So, but thank you guys for the support anyway. All right. So let's get into this video, family. So when we talk about primordial energy, what is primordial energy? Primordial energy simply means to be the first. It is the first form of energy in existence. It is the energy that existed before creation. Primordial. In Egypt, they called it Nu or Noon. Right? So in Egypt, they called it Nu, and Nu represented the primordial waters. It's very interesting they call it the primordial waters, because what they're really talking about is the primordial energy which can create the fabric of the universe. So we're going to get into that deeper in this video later. But that's what they called it in Egypt, Nu, okay, or Noon. And it is the primordial energy, primordial waters, all right? So that's all the primordial is. It is an energy or an entity that existed before creation, all right? Or before our creation, okay? To be more clear. So the first group of entities we're going to talk about that are part of the primordials are dragons, okay? And I've talked to you guys in the past about different types of dragons, right? But dragons in their original state are primordial. Okay. And dragons are also the oldest living forms and beings of consciousness in creation. Okay. So what am I really saying by that? What I'm saying is when the creator created the first entities to be here, the creator created dragons. Okay. I want you guys to understand that. All right. Dragons were created as primordial beings to control all forms of consciousness. Okay? The most powerful form of consciousness that you have is a dragon. Right? And that's a whole other story. Okay? But dragons pretty much control all forms of consciousness in this omniverse, universe, whatever you want to call it. Okay? And because they do that, they have to constantly put themselves in different forms of reality to watch things and look after things. So what they'll do is they'll make themselves into lower forms of dragons. Some dragon consciousness will become gods. Okay. Some dragon consciousnesses will even be human. We call those drake or drakes. Okay. Those will be human dragons. All right. Or they look like humans. Or they'll be half-breeds. All right. So that's the first primordial entities, and the oldest form of primordial entities in existence are dragons. You know, and some people get that misconstrued because people will think, well, the gods were here first, right? Or the angels were here first, right? Just like I tell people that there are a lot of angels that are more powerful than gods. And in a lot of ways, angels can be more powerful than gods, right? Remember, these are titles. This is not a person. God is not one person. An angel is not one person. This is a title, okay? So even when we talk about dragons, these are entities that carry a title, but they're still dragons. So dragons look like a whole bunch of different things, you know? So like when I put up that mermaid video on my Instagram, I had to shut the comments off because so many people, different levels of consciousness got on there. Oh, it's a joke, it's not real. And some people were saying it is real. And I saw people arguing in there. I said, let's cut the comments off, right? People who never even been on my channel before start coming on there. So people not always ready for certain things. And that's okay. You know what I mean? When you're ready, you're ready. But at the end of the day, a mermaid doesn't look like what you think it looks like. You can't just be controlled by TV and think all mermaids sing beautifully, and all mermaids are gorgeous and beautiful. No, some mermaids have spikes. Some mermaids look like fish. Some mermaids look like Europeans. Some look like African people. That's real heavy in the Caribbean. You know, I don't care what you say. You can go to the Caribbean islands, and a lot of people will tell you that they look like, you know what I'm saying, that certain people look, certain people will go to the water and never come back, right? The mermaids will take them. And then you have mermaids that are like men, right? You have male versions of them, mermen. So this is something just to think about. And we're going to, you know, and to go back to the dragon thing, you know, dragons don't always look alike. You have dragons that look like snakes. You have dragons that are three-headed, which are the most powerful dragons, the three-headed dragons. You have dragons that are bigger than the whole universe. That's right. You got dragons that exist outside of this reality that's bigger than our planet is probably the size of their eye. Okay. So don't just think on a basic level about what you think a dragon is. Dragons look like some dragons look like humans. Like the draconians are come from the dragon blood. Right. That's why we have access to Kundalini energy, because we have dragon DNA. Okay. The draconians they go back to the dragons. Okay. You have to understand these things, right? So it's funny because I was on a consultation with a guy who said he really loved dragons, and you know he said something about Busta Rhymes, and I said, oh, Busta Rhymes is definitely that Drake energy. You know what I'm saying? And don't think Drake called himself Drake for no reason. Let me tell you guys a big secret. I told you guys before that dragons talk in riddles, right? When you talk to a dragon, they'll talk in riddles the majority of the time, right? Why do you think some rappers can rap so good? Some rappers are so good at riddles and rhyming because they're tapped into their dragon consciousness. That's heavy dragon energy right there. So yes, absolutely. People like Busta Rhymes have a heavy dragon consciousness. Shit, Busta Rhymes look like a dragon. So when he's saying that he's the dragon, it's funny because after me and the guy talked about it, 3 days later, Busta Rhymes put that up on his Instagram, and he's a dragon. Right? He took a picture with some girl, and he was like, yo, the dragon. So this ain't a game. People understand on a lower level and sometimes on a higher level who they are. Right? So that was very interesting what Busta Rhymes had and what he said. So Drake don't call himself Drake for no reason. We got to understand these things. Right? So the dragon aspect is the first and oldest form of a primordial in existence. Nobody can see the creator. It is beyond your understanding. Right? You have different levels of creators. So we're creators. Right? I'm creating this video right now. So we're talking about the universal prime creator, like the great Dr. Blair called it. The universal prime creator created dragons first to rule over reality and existence on a certain level. Okay? So yes, dragons will come down into lower forms such as gods, even angels, God's angels, humans. They'll come down in these forms. Okay? And I want you guys to understand that. So that's the dragon. They are the first form of primordial, right? The next level of primordial are what you call ultraviolets. The ultraviolet beings. Ultraviolet beings are very high level forms of light, frequency, and creation. All right? So dragons rule over the consciousness. The light beings rule over knowledge, information, and creation. Okay? One of the best ways to understand how the energy of these ultraviolet beings, remember ultraviolet is a high spectrum of light, pretty much down here, the high spectrum of light. That's why they're called ultraviolet beings, and that's why you have archangels, cherubims, seraphim. These are different levels of angels. So a seraphim angel doesn't compare to a ultraviolet like Lucifer. Right? We talked about this before. I talked about Lucifer, and Lucifer is the ultraviolet angel. Okay? High level frequency. And also how Lucifer is actually a woman, or has more of a feminine energy. And this is why Lucifer can be connected to Venus. Right? Venus is connected to love, the love frequency, which is what? The highest form of the highest frequency in the universe. Right? So when you look deeper into Lucifer or Venus, and we all know Venus at one time was called planet Lucifer. When you look deeper, Venus is called the bright and morning star, just like Lucifer. When you look deeper into these things, and it's a reason why Venus is connected to music and beauty and love, right? Very important, love. Love is the highest frequency in the universe, like we just said. But also, love is the fabric of reality. It is something that just happens in your reality. You don't control it. And I talked about this before about love, how it's almost hard to understand and explain because you don't never choose it. Right? I want y'all to really think about that for a second. You have so-called free will, which we all do. But you can't choose who you love. That's how powerful love is. You can choose who you hate. You can choose who you whatever. It's a choice. When love comes into the picture, you can try your hardest. You can't choose to not. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That person that you can't stand no more, you want to leave them alone, but you still love them. That's how powerful love is. It can shape and form your reality against your will. So I want y'all to let that marinate for a second, right? So love is a high level frequency of light that is looked at as an ultraviolet and looked at as a dark energy because love is an energy that you can't perceive. Anything you can't perceive is called dark. So when scientists talk about the fabric of the universe, which we call dark matter or dark energy, they're talking about love. It's something that's unperceivable. Love is intertwined with dark energy. To prove that, well, I can't really prove it, but to help you guys understand deep into the philosophy of things, alchemists, when you do alchemy, I told you guys this before, you transmute things with love. Even internally, once you become an alchemist on the inside and you want to learn how to transform your energy, you need to focus on love. Love can transmute any energy. That's why they say love conquers all. It really does. If you learn how to control the most powerful form of energy in the universe, you can be unstoppable. This is why alchemists are so feared, a real alchemist. And this is why the high priest in Egypt couldn't leave Egypt, because they were alchemists. They can transform reality at will. That's love, family. When you can put love into like a pen, right? If you take a pen and you put love into it, you can change the frequency of the pen. You're changing the dark matter. There's dark matter to help create this pen, right? Everything's associated with dark matter and dark energy. So if you can get into that vibration and transmute this, you're doing it with love. By learning how to harness and control the love frequency. Ultraviolets can do that. Ain't nobody gonna deny love is the most powerful frequency in the universe. Ain't nobody gonna deny it. If they do, they're crazy. Or it's a troll just trying to get you pissed off, right? Nobody who really has an understanding of the way science works, the way physics work, the way energy works, the highest frequency is love. Right? There's no more powerful frequency, especially dealing with emotion. Right? There's no more powerful emotion than love. Right? It's hard to even put a pin on what love is, even in the frequency, because it's too powerful. So powerful. Right? And when you're feeling love, you're feeling the actual power of the creator. That's primordial energy. Right? Love existed before the foundations of this universe. You're dealing with the primordial energy. So when you're dealing with a Venus or a Lucifer, or which are more feminine sides of this information, the more masculine side will be associated with like beings like Thoth, right? Because when you look at Venus, all you get is feminine energy, right? But at the same time, Venus deals with wisdom, right? Wisdom, and so does Lucifer. And we know that Thoth is the god of wisdom, knowledge, and all this other stuff. So all information and knowledge comes out of love and then goes on down to another frequency. This is why Thoth could break down geometry and all. He had access to primordial knowledge. That's why he could just bring that stuff here. Because humans didn't have it down here. He taught us how to do sacred geometry and do all this stuff. Right? That's what Thoth is. So When you're dealing with the ultraviolet, you're dealing with a being. And also, if you study Talk, he was a self-created entity. So think about that. That means he's created himself out of the fabric of the universe. Out of the primordial waters, he created himself. Self-created. You're dealing with a love frequency. You're dealing with a high frequency. You're dealing with a person that is primordial. All right? So I want you guys to understand that. That's the power of these entities of the ultraviolets. So, and of course I can go deeper, but I got other things to cover. So the ultraviolets are pretty much high-level frequency beings that work on the spectrum of light that is like the first lights that can be understood in creation, right? Any light above that would be considered dark light. And I broke that down to you guys before about the Ein Sof and the Ein Sof right? The Ein Sof the Ein Sof and the Ein. Ein is the negative, the darkness. But what that really represents is stuff that you can't perceive. So it's evil to you because you can't perceive it. It's bad. Well, that's where all them entities come from. That's where they all come from. All right. So I want you guys to understand that. All right. So another primordial, which some may agree with, some may disagree with, but it's definitely a primordial energy, is the Demiurge. Okay. The Demiurge is another primordial. The Demiurge family is pretty much the first entity to exist in the physical realm. It created the physical realm for its glory. Okay? Its goal is to keep you trapped here so it can continue to be God. But the essence of where the Demiurge comes from is primordial. It is a very old, ancient is not even the right word. It is a very old primordial energy. And if you guys read the story, you guys know how this energy broke away from the creator and became it was like a not fully formed entity that broke away. And it went into an area that already had creation, right? But it was more like a lower form of area. We're going to get into that next. That it pretty much decided to create its physical realm in. Okay? And pretty much lock humans down here. But on a deeper level, the creation that the Demiurge created. Hold on, family. I want to make sure my stuff don't die. Phone. Okay. So on another level, the creation that the Demiurge created feeds the Demiurge. So it needs you to fear. It needs you to be stuck here. It wants you. The Demiurge, you can call it God to a certain extent because it is a God. The Demiurge wants you to stay down here and be happy. It wants you to be happy here. It doesn't like it when you're not happy here. So it creates things in the matrix, in this hologram that it created. It creates things to keep you here, keep you stuck here. So your ego, including your physical body, are all aspects of the Demiurge. And this is why the Gnostics were so heavy on getting up out of here. Okay? Because the Demiurge makes you lose your memory when you come down here. And it does not want you to know that you're divine yourself. You're a primordial yourself. Your soul is primordial. It doesn't want you to understand that. Okay? Because it was tricked into understanding that you just can't have a creation without it being created connected to your mother, the supreme being. You can't do that. Right? So that's what it hates about you. So its goal is to keep you trapped here by way of you having memory loss. Okay? So I want you guys to understand that. It does not want you to remember who you are, okay? And the Demiurge, it controls reality from the first dimension all the way up to the 8th dimension. And so what do I really mean by that? Well, when you get up to, even though the 8th dimension is a more of a heavenly, more beautiful, you're more free in those states, you're still dealing with an illusion. You're not all the way out yet. Even though some beings choose to go there and stay there. All right? So the Demiurge doesn't work with you or for you. It works on you and at you to keep you here. So other primordial beings like Lucifer and other primordial beings, different deities that deal with light, they work with you and they want to help you get away from the Demiurge. They want to help you get out of this matrix, get out of this cycle of illusion. Okay, so you have entities that are in the matrix, that are in the reality that Demiurge created to help you get out. Right? Like any type of spiritual teacher you come across they're working on the side of lights to help you get out. And remember, everything is light, even darkness. So I want you guys don't think I'm going to, well, you got to be on the light side. Be on whatever side you choose, as long as you evolve in. You know, that's the thing I have with people. Make sure you are in a stage of evolution. When I first started to do consultations, a lot of people will say, well, give me a spell for this, give me a spell for that. And I'm like, I don't really want to give you a spell. I want to give you something, a practice, so you can evolve. But that's really what it is at the end of the day. Are you evolving? And this thing is about evolution. Are you choosing to evolve out of this mess, man? Nobody wants to be here, right? Nobody wants to be here forever. So the Demiurge family is a primordial that pretty much works with entities like the archons, which are world famous. Some people put them in categories of demons. They're not demons. They are literally the Demiurge's right. They're his army. Okay, diamonds, diamonds, whatever you want to call them. They are also in other negative elementals and negative extraterrestrials. They all work with the Demiurge to keep you trapped here. And then think about it. If you could be a billionaire for all of eternity, some people will look at that. That's not a bad thing, but you don't get to evolve. You can't go higher. You could be a billionaire, but you're stuck here. You can't go no further. Some people don't look at that as a bad thing, right? But any wise person will look at that and say, hey, I want to know, I want everything that I got coming to me. I don't want to be stuck, right? That's what the Demiurge promises these entities that are here. But there are some entities that can match the Demiurge in power, and we're going to get into them in a second here. So some demons, forms of demons, work with the Demiurge and archons and negative extraterrestrials, all right, to maintain power of this illusion that you're in. So the Demiurge itself is an entity that sits on top of these realms that it created, and it is in the primordial realm. It is a primordial entity, right? Even though its goal is to keep you trapped on a level that it created. Now, it's the creator created all reality, so it's pretty much trying to copy what the creator did and have you think that this is it, this is creation, and it's not. It's deeper than that, right? The next forms of primordials, which are on the edge. Some people argue whether these entities are really primordial, but there's one being in particular that is the primordial. So I don't want to say that these entities are primordials because they're not, but the being that sits over them is a primordial, all right? And we're going to talk about Time Lords, all right? The Time Lords, when time was first created, they existed already, okay, to kind of control the different streamlines of time. Because people do time travel. Time travel is real, and there's different dimensions and different parallel worlds that run on different timelines. Okay, so in another parallel world, it could still be 1970, and we are in 2021, right? And in other parallel worlds, they're already ahead of time. All right, so parallel worlds do exist, different dimensions exist, and these Time Lords work not really so much on different dimensions, because once you get past the fourth dimension, there's no time, right? There's no need for time. So time transforms into something else, which is rulership and justice and order, right? So that's really what time is when you break it down. The higher level of time is really order, right? So down in the physical realm, you have to create chaos to bring order, because we're on such a low frequency. Until if you just bring order, people won't listen, right? But because that's simply because Saturn doesn't really rule, and that's what we're talking about. Saturn is a Titan, which we're going to talk about next. But Saturn is a Titan that is a primordial. Okay, and we all know the story of Saturn, who tried to eat his own children, who did eat his children to so they wouldn't rule over him. But really, what on a metaphysical level, if you understand that story, it wasn't that he was eating his children; he was trying to cage them so they can grow until they're ready to take over. That's really what it was. So it wasn't that he was doing something evil to his children. He was trying to consume his children and lock his children away, lock them away until they were ready to rule. But of course, y'all know the story didn't want it to happen. Jupiter, who's really Zeus, becomes the king, right? And too much that Jupiter energy could have you being egotistical. So what I'm really saying is that when Saturn ruled, we really lived in the golden age. And in astrology, for y'all astrologers out there, y'all know Saturn is the best teacher. I said that a lot of times on my channel, and actually everybody here who's watching this video, we're all dealing with Saturn. Okay, we all deal with Saturn. Saturn is that teacher. He's gonna, and that's pretty much what he's doing down here in the physical realm as a primordial being. His angels are pretty much time lords. That's his angels that rules over certain aspects of times and time streams and dimensions are different parallel worlds and stuff like that and universes. Chronos or Saturn, you can call him either one. He rules over time. He rules over karma, right? So he wants to keep you trapped, but only until you learn your lesson. Same thing with his children. So look at us as children of Saturn, and our father Time, right? They call him Father Time also. He wants to keep us trapped in time until your time runs out. When your time runs out, you can evolve to another level. But Saturn is that teacher that is making sure that all order, things stay in order. Or Chronos is that teacher that makes sure, that Titan, that makes sure things stay in order and make sure that things don't go outside of the order, right? He's the judge, right? Even when you get married, like this is my wedding ring. That golden ring, that's Saturn, okay? If you study the palmistry, you know that this finger is Saturn, right? So when you get married under Saturn, right? That's the occult side of it. That's what they do. You get married in the law. Law is Saturn. Legal and lawful. Lawful is Saturn. That's Saturn. That's rulership. That's the judge. That's judgment. That's all Saturn. So he controls his world secretly on a lot of levels, right? And he's a primordial as himself, but not really the Time Lords. So Saturn is a Titan that pretty much rules over time, and he makes sure everybody get what they got coming to them, whether it's good or bad. So Saturn he didn't eat his children to lock them he didn't eat his children to kill them. He ate his children to consume them and to lock them away until their time came. Because they wanted to rule right away. And he's like, no, y'all ain't ruling. Y'all gonna get locked in here until your time comes. Boom. And like I said, if you understand Saturn under his rulership, man lived in the golden age. So we got to understand deeper that Saturn, I know he's associated with Satan in some ways, but Saturn is the greatest teacher in astrology, because Saturn is the one that will pretty much teach you. He won't let you be finished until he's finished teaching. So just to help you guys understand that on a deeper level, all right? So that's what that is, family. He traps you until you're ready. That's what Saturn does, all right? So that's dealing with time. And the Time Lords are like the first entities dealing with time. But time is a physical thing, so that will go to Saturn as primordial, right? The Titans are still locked away, right? The Titans are still locked away, but Saturn has access to this world more than anybody else. And man, I can go deep on that. A lot of demonic energy actually comes through that, through time streams and timelines based on certain energy, because the rest of the Titans are locked away, right? What do I mean by Titans? The Titans are primordial beings because they existed here before the foundations of the world, even the foundations of the universe. Before the Demiurge even decided to even create this, the Titans were already here. They already ruled over a certain aspect of the universe. It just wasn't our universe, right? So what I'm really talking about is these Aquatic entities that some people call demons. They have different names. They call them full-blooded demons. They also call them true demons, right? Or full-blooded demons, which is nothing but a title. I want you guys to understand that. And they call them that because these are the first entities that, through free will, decided we're going to go and do something else. They told the creator, we're going to leave and we're going to go do something else. And the creator said, hey, cool, it is what it is. And they did that. They created a universe, and that universe was here before our universe. The Demiurge came in their neck of the woods and said, hey, we're going to start building here, so y'all need to get out of the way. And I'm giving you guys a short synopsis of what pretty much happened. And Titans reached out to the creator and was like, hey, what's up? You know, your people's over here acting crazy. You know, don't they know who we are? And he's like, yeah, but he's the king. Yeah, because he has my blood, or because he's a royal, he can build wherever he want to build. Your land is my land. You know what I'm saying? So you can look at it as like the Indians in America and then the Pilgrims came over and just took over the whole shit, right? That's the best way to describe it. The Indians are the Titans. They were the ones that were already here. Right now in the world, they need to be put back in place. So the Indians are the Titans, the Native Americans are the Titans, or American Indians, whatever you want to call them. They are the Titans. And they're like, yo, y'all came over here, y'all built a whole other country on top of our world. We want our stuff back. We want to be recognized. We want y'all to understand that this is ours. Right? This universe is our universe. That's why, to a degree, they don't really hate you. They hate creation. That they hate what the Demiurge created. Right? And some of the first entities that the Titans actually had to do with creation was really going into the whole jinn. And that's a whole other story. I know the story of the jinn. So the Titans, on a deeper level, family, they are the original gods. They are the original everything. They were here before everything. Right? They're primordial. So they can't access this universe because it got so bad between the Demiurge and the Titans until the creator himself had to come and lock the Titans away. So right now they're locked away. They're locked away. And they're not really locked away, but let's just say they don't have access to our world like that, except for Saturn. The rest of them don't really have access to our world like that.
Where the hell?
They can have access through other means, but they just can't come over here because they'll destroy the whole thing. They're like, yo, this is not even real. So what am I really saying is that they wouldn't be wrong for coming over here destroying this. This don't even exist. This is all an illusion. You're living in a video game. Their stuff is real. They're really living. So this is why a lot of left-hand path people, they'll gain their power from the original universe. And those beings ain't them triple OGs over there, y'all. Those are the triple OGs. Those are big time. Right? Got so bad with the Demiurge, she had to call Mama and say, Mama, they over here. And Mama had to shut it down. So, yo, y'all stay over there. So look at the Demiurge, the creator, as the Demiurge's mother. Queen, let's say that's Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth said, hey, by the order of the Queen, y'all need to stand down. Look at it like that. So the Titans are not wrong for wanting their universe back because this is originally theirs. There's a false, just like America has a false country. We know America's a company. It's not a country at all. It's a company. This false country was built on top of a nation of American Indians that was already here. So whoever is on top of this world could make them Titans or make the American Indians look bad. And that's not what it's about at all. All right? Them people deserve the right to be here because they was minding their business and the Demiurge came here and built our world, which is Universe B, on top of their world, Universe A. All right? The original world. So those are the primordials, family. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Those are the primordials, all right? And these are pretty much entities that rule over certain aspects of our creation. And these are the in the game, all right? So I want you guys to understand that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You guys can hit me up in newlifetool@gmail.com. If you have questions, I get a lot of people coming in. I'll try to hit you when I can. If not, that's cool. You guys can hit me on Instagram, also full. But at the same time, family, Brother Yosef try to get to everybody. All right, I try my best, y'all. So I thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for watching the channel. And I will see you guys in the next video. All right, peace and love, family.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Oh, heavy, huh? What do y'all think about that?
The Absurd and Fantastical has added a couple of new articles.
What
if
is
you're
that?
interested, please follow the link below. I hope you all enjoyed.
Whew. I don't know what that was. I'm glad it didn't fucking play some music. I'm gonna get better. I'm getting better. What y'all think about that? I had a guest a minute ago. I really wanted to ask her what she thought about this. Anyways, I'm gonna let y'all know what I think about it because I've got a whole mess of notes right here. Well, one of the things that stood out from that video for me was when he talked about mermaids. I don't know that I really believe in mermaids, but there's a thing out there that's called Aquatic Ape Theory. And I stumbled upon that upon my studies some years ago, and it really interests me. And it's like, it's kind of related to mermaids, but I brought it up just because it kind of ends up in the same conversation. But Aquatic Ape Theory is like, there was a time in human history during our evolution where we lived mostly or semi in the water. And we were like aquatic mammals. And if you compare us to other animals on the planet, you're going to find more comparison between us and other aquatic mammals than us and land mammals. The fat under our skin, that we don't have hair so much. Babies can hold their breath when they first get born in the water. A lot of mothers feel like water births are like the less strenuous and the most natural. And like I say, the baby naturally holds their breath as soon as they come out. Like other animals don't do that. If a dog was born underwater, he'd drown. So, there's other things. Let me think. The fat, sweat. Our sweat. That's another thing that separates us from other animals that makes us kind of weird, is that we sweat like we do. And that's how we control our temperature. And again, aquatic mammals do that too. What else? Can I think of anything else related to aquatic? I don't know. That's a whole rabbit hole right there. I don't even want to get distracted, but that's just one of the things that he said that stuck out to me. Another one was about the wedding ring. And I always felt some kind of way about damn wedding rings, man. And Saturn and the devil and evil and the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings means the devil, and the thing is, the movie The Ring was all about a ring, and the ring, they put it on and then they couldn't control themselves. They became evil and shit. So I don't know. I think it's something to that. That shit always stands out to me whenever I hear about that. Another thing he said was, even dark is light. So that's interesting as fuck to me, like even dark is light. And it kind of goes to the good and evil thing that I talk about in my videos all the time, about how it doesn't really exist. And that's also connected to another thing he said about dark matter and love being dark matter. I swear this was the idea. I've never heard nobody else say it, but it was something I was thinking, because science discovered dark matter and they said that most of the universe is dark matter. It's not antimatter. But it pulls on the gravity of things. They know that it affects everything, but they can't find a particle for it or nothing. And that is so interesting. Dark energy is so interesting to me. And I always felt like the fifth element was love. And if that's kind of like saying dark energy is love. It's like really the substance of the universe. And that's deep, 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 deep shit right there. Deep, 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 deep. Another thing he said was the natives are Titans. And that makes me think right there. That opens my brain a lot. And I got a fascination for Native Americans. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm so into that. I'm so into Native American history and cultures, and languages. It's like, I think the real reason why I'm so fascinated with Native Americans is because I always felt like, even when I first was introduced to them, that the way that they lived their life was way more closer to nature, way more closer to how we should be living as humans. And you could take that however the fuck you want. I don't even give a damn. But the way I see it is they were way closer to a natural, real human than anybody else on the planet, the Native Americans. Okay? And now there are different groups of Native Americans, and I don't want to get all into that. We're just going to say Native Americans to keep it simple for y'all, because I don't want to even start that whole argument. We're just going to say Native Americans. And in the way that they lived was more closer to nature, more closer to the way humans, I think, should live. In balance with nature. They had a rule where, like, leave it the way they found it. And that's the reason why when the Europeans came over here, they was like undeveloped land or whatever, untapped land or whatever, uninhabited, whatever the hell they said. But it just looked like that to them because that's the way the Native Americans did. They cared about the freaking trees and the natural grasses and the natural weeds that grow. And also they knew the energy and they knew how to use those herbs and get the spices and or medicines out of them or food. They knew how to grow them too in ways that made it look like, see, that's another thing about agriculture, because the way we do agriculture is destroying the world, is destroying the environment. We do it completely wrong. Go look at the way the Native Americans did it. They did it in a way where it looked like it was the natural freaking, but they planted that shit. But it looked like, but they understood how different areas and different patches of dirt and different groups of plants, how they work together. And the Europeans would come over here and walk right over their garden and think it was wild, but it wasn't. It was a garden. That's just how ignorant they are. Love is the highest vibration. That's another thing that stuck out to me that he said. Love is the highest vibration. And then we talk about light, and he was talking about light bodies and knowledge and you know where intelligence comes from, and the highest vibration is love, and then all knowledge comes from love because it's the highest vibration and it's light, it's knowledge. So what y'all have to understand about that is people hate love, right? Love hurts, right? Love hurts and you can't control it. And that's another reason why you don't like it, is because you can't control it and because it hurts. But it's like that. So knowledge is like that. Knowledge, you can't control where you go and down the rabbit hole. And when you face that cognitive dissonance of new information that pushes against information that you've had before, it hurts really bad, like death. And that's what I used to say all the time. I used to say love is pain. That's how I feel. Love is pain. That's simple, but knowledge is pain. He talked about alchemy a bit in there. And when I think about alchemy, I think about a lot of stuff that really brings in a lot of thoughts into me, but like magic and creating things or whatever, but it's, you know, manifestation, but it has to do with your energy. And he was talking about alchemy is used with love, that you have to use love to do alchemy. And that makes a lot of sense. And it's like, you know, transmutation or creation or meditation, or when you bring in something from the mental realm into the physical realm, you have to do it with love. God created the universe with love. So anything you create, you have to create it with love. He tapped on the gene. He tapped up on the jinn. He briefly tapped on that, but that stuck out. Jinn or genie, and in Islam, those are demons. So that's the thing. And but what he talked about demons, and he was saying, he stressed that the demons aren't necessarily bad. And that's what y'all have to understand about everything, things in the universe, they have their agendas, but that doesn't necessarily make them bad or good. It's just whatever they're up. It may be detrimental to you. It may have a negative impact on you, their agenda, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. But if you understand that, then you can deal with the demons in a way that's productive for you. Or otherwise, if you see them as bad, then it's going to always be bad, and you're always going to have a bad result. He talked about how, this is not the dimension that you want to be, and also like it's a prison. And he talked about the Demiurge, and like that sounds like the devil, or what we would consider as the devil in the Bible. I think what he was talking about as the Demiurge, I think that's the devil in the Bible, the one that wants to rule over us, that wants us to pray to him, because we pray to him in this physical realm that is an illusion. And so we believe this realm is real. And so then therefore we believe he is God, because he's the creator of this particular realm. And that's why I think that the Demiurge that he mentioned is the devil of the Bible, because he wants you to turn away from God. So we turn away from creation, turn away from what's reality, and fall into this illusion and take this illusion as reality and worship him as God. And that's related to, and I've studied a lot about Egypt. And if you really understand, like the Book of the Dead was trying to tell you what to do to get off of this realm. It wasn't about death, even though the title of the book is the Book of the Dead, and y'all know a lot of the Bible came out of that. But anyways, the Book of the Dead was trying to show you how to move from this realm into another one. And if you ever read that book, you know what I'm talking about, because the overall thing is totally just telling you how to not come back here. So that's what I'm saying. The Egyptians, and they put it all on the walls, they were trying to leave from here. They didn't want to come back here. They wanted to go to another place, another realm. They didn't want to repeat this cycle. So that's interesting. And he talked about Thoth over and over, and I read a lot about that too, because I think that's in the we talked about the Book of Enoch, and I think that's in there, I want to say. But when I was going down my spiritual journey, and one of the things that stood out to me was I ended up watching these videos on YouTube called Spirit Science, and they had a video called the Human History Movie, and I'm sure it's still there if y'all want to look it up. It's a really long ass movie, and it talks about Thoth a lot. It talks about the Namo, and it talks about sacred shapes, and that Human History Movie off of Spirit Science sent me down so many rabbit holes. And that's why I learned a lot about the Namo and the Dogon and Sirius B and the procession of the equinox, and things related to that. That's how I ended up going down that rabbit hole, was because of that video, Human History Movie. So I recommend y'all look it up. It's not like it's all like facts or knowledge or whatever, but that's the kind of stuff that sparks you. Just like this video that I played today, it's the kind of stuff that sparks your imagination and sparks your intelligence and sparks your curiosity and starts you going down the rabbit hole. And that's how you learn. And that's what this is all about. Another thing that he talked about that stood out to me was he talked about the dragons rule consciousness. And that was interesting, because he was saying that the first thing the creator created was dragons, and he created the dragons so that they could rule over consciousness. Now, that makes a lot of sense if you think about the universe as mind. The universe is mind, so therefore that means that the universe is consciousness, which is also chaos. So I always thought of the universe as chaos. So the dragons are the ones who kind of create chaos, but create order by managing the consciousness. So, and that's really interesting, because that's the first layer, the outer layer of creation, as far as what he was saying, because you have the creator and then creating creation, but creating these dragons first to oversee the consciousness, which is the first thing of creation, which all creation comes out of the consciousness. That is really heavy in my brain right there. And it take me a while to even fucking take that in, because that was the first time I ever heard that. Another thing he talked about was the 8th dimension. And, I always thought, I know that there's higher dimensions, but we always talk about the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensions. We hardly ever go past that in, thought and understanding, because it's so hard to understand. We can't even understand 3 dimensions. Y'all understand? Okay, 2 dimensions is flat, right? The flat plane, right? 3 dimensions is what we live in, which is spatial. So you have you also in the 2 dimension, you just have the left and right, up and down, or whatever. You have the physical plane. You can't do the 3-dimensional triangle or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say, the sphere or the cube, because if you draw a sphere on a 2-dimensional plane, it's a circle. It doesn't have all the dimensions of a sphere. So in the 3rd dimension, you can make a sphere because it has all of those dimensions, all the different dimensions. So then, and science has proven that there's more dimensions. that exists at the same time as this one. And so the fourth dimension would add another angle. In mathematics, that's trigonometry. I want to say that's trigonometry in mathematics. So in mathematics, we actually can do that. It gets super complicated. I can't handle that level of math when it's those shapes, but I understand it enough to explain it right now. It's those shapes that are more complex than the sphere or the square. It's kind of like putting a square and a sphere together. So now you got the fourth dimension. Now, the fifth dimension, I completely do not understand. All I understand is that it's lighter. So as you go up in the dimensions, this physical denseness, as you go down in the dimensions, it's more physical, more dense. Everything is more close together. You can feel gravity more. You're heavier. You die. You have a physical, lifespan and all of that. So, but when you move above those dimensions, these things change. And even though it's existing in the same realm that we live in, but now you're lighter, you're less dense, you're not so together. Things are more spread out. That's how I understand it. And the molecules are more spread out. It's more light as in not as heavy, less gravity. And as you go up the dimensions, and like eighth dimension, I couldn't even begin to get my brain to think about what the hell the eighth dimension would look like. And what he was saying in the video was that that's not even out of this realm. You're still in this realm. And I was like, oh my God, like, dun, dun, dun. That really hit me hard, because he said that the demiurge is trying to keep you here in this realm. So it'll make you think that you've made it to heaven, which is this higher level, which is more spatial, and you're floating around. Maybe you're there with your relatives, people that has moved on before, and you think this is heaven, but it's the demiurge keeping you here because he wants you to worship him. And so you stay in this realm. So even in the eighth dimension, you still haven't moved from this realm. Woo. I don't know. Did y'all get all of that? I don't know. He talked for 30 something minutes, and I only explained it for like 20 something, but you'd have to watch the fucking shit again to fucking get it, I guess. That was a lot. Heavy stuff, man. What do y'all think about that? Leave comments in the comments, please, or call me, or send me a message, or send me a video or something. So, I'd love to talk about this more. I hope my nigga Brendan saw this video, because we probably do a follow-up on this video and talk about this video, because that's some heavy stuff. I mean, I really didn't. I'm sorry to play the dude's whole video. It was only like 35 minutes, but I couldn't find no edit points in it. So just give it to y'all like that. And I'm not gonna play any more videos of this guy's page. I recommend y'all go to his page. What is it? Hold on, let me go back to the comments. New Life Tools. That's his name on all his social medias or whatever. So look him up and watch some more of his shit. I just wanted to introduce y'all to him. I'll be checking him out. I just discovered him tonight anyway. So, but I'm not gonna play any more of his stuff because I don't want to be that guy. So, but because I've already played a 30-something minute video of his shit. So we'll just talk about it maybe again in another video, but I'm not gonna play his shit anymore like that, especially not like that, unless it's shorter clips, like 6, 7, 8 minutes. And if y'all haven't noticed on my channel, I try to keep the videos under 8 minutes. The clips that I play y'all, and the 8 minutes are long as fuck. I know. Y'all be dying on the 8-minute fucking video. So a lot of them are 2, 5, 6 minutes. 8, 9 minutes. Those are long videos. I know y'all be killing y'all. But this channel is all about education, growth, spiritual growth, knowledge, being a community activist, making things happen in the world, changing things. These are all hard things. These are not easy things. These are not to be taken on lightly. And it's going to take a lot of work and effort and thought and, determination to make all that stuff happen. So you just, like I say, we're in this for a long haul. We're in this for the long journey. And we're going to keep on grinding and pushing at this shit. We're going to push at the machine together as a team so we won't get smushed. Because I talked about it in one of my videos, if you push against the machine, you're just going to get smushed. But if we can come together and gain knowledge, get strength together, and hold each other up and hold each other accountable and keep building and growing spiritually, then we can push against the machine and successfully. It is what it is. I think I'm going to play another video just because this video is only an hour long, and I used 30 minutes of it for that dude's video, so I feel kind of bad. And I've been trying to keep my videos long, so we're going to keep it going. I got this one video left in my little library that I didn't play for my last ones. So I guess we'll play that and then we'll talk about it. Let's go.
Who gets to define the United States past? Teaching American kids the truth about slavery and genocidal displacement has turned into a partisan battle, and it's fueled a national political debate over how to understand U.S. history and racism.
Let me be clear, there's no room in our classrooms for things like critical race theory.
And Florida isn't the only one. 22 other states have proposed similar bans on teaching institutional racism and the impacts of white supremacy. But not everyone is like the US. Other countries have decided to directly confront the ugly past in order to have a better present. Why are Brazil, Germany, and South Africa teaching their dark racist history? And can the US learn anything from them?
Until we deal with the structure, we're never going to be able to put that past behind us.
The first step a country needs to take in order to properly teach its dark racist history is to acknowledge there is a dark racist history in the first place. Currently, in the United States, there is no national curriculum for teaching the country's history. In fact, 5 states don't directly mention slavery in their state standards. 8 states don't require teaching the civil rights movement, and a report found that 87% of states don't dictate teaching about indigenous history post-1900s. Similarly to the US, Brazil has a history rooted in slavery. But Brazil has at least acknowledged on a national level its racist past and its systematic racism. In 2010, former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said, "Brazil would not be what it is today without the participation of millions of Africans who helped build our country." More Africans were taken to Brazil than any other country in the world, over 4 million people. Brazil was also the last country to abolish slavery in the Western Hemisphere. And while there are no racially oriented policy post-slavery in Brazil, such as apartheid in South Africa or Jim Crow in the US, Brazil created a lot of obstacles that prevented Black people from accessing lands, the labor market, and education. Racism was finally declared a crime in the 1988 Constitution. Under the Lula and Dilma administrations, several policies were passed in favor of Black people. The Secretariat for Racial Equality was established, and the teaching of Afro-Brazilian and indigenous history and culture were made mandatory in elementary and high schools, regardless if they were public or private schools.
The law that implemented the racial history in schools, affirmative action law, a public policy in terms of education, all these measures were very important to raise awareness in Brazil. But more than that, to put this debating table, our history as Black people is not only about pain, it's not only about sharing the experience in colonialism and slavery. Our history as Black people is also a history of resistance.
However, it's one thing to make something law, and another thing to actually implement the law. According to Ribeiro, many Afro-Brazilians weren't aware of their new rights.
We have very good examples in some cities that, yes, the law was implemented in the way it should be, but on the other hand, it's still a struggle for the Black movement in Brazil to implement the law effectively, because there are a lot of mayors and governors that do not implement the law.
But current President Bolsonaro has said Brazil owed nothing to Afro-Brazilians.
I think that we are facing now in Brazil a very difficult time. It's very important to say under Bolsonaro administrations, a lot of public policies were ended.
While it's obvious that challenges remain in Brazil, acknowledging the past is the first step. So what comes after acknowledging the past? Here, the US could learn something from Germany. The Holocaust was the racialized and systematic state-sponsored mass murder of at least 6 million Jews, as well as hundreds of thousands of Romani people, intellectually disabled, dissidents, and those who were gay. For decades after World War II, Germans saw themselves as the victims of war. But that view began to change following the televised trials of Adolf Eichmann, a chief architect of the Holocaust, and the Auschwitz trials of former Nazi war criminals from 1963 to 1965.
The Germans were the first people to take another step and say, you know what, yes, we did suffer after the war and during the war, but other people suffered worse, and that was our fault. And it took about 40 years for West Germany to come to that position.
Under a concept known as Vergangenheitsbewältigung, which loosely means working off the past, Germany began to examine, analyze, and ultimately hold itself accountable for its dark past.
And it's work that will take more than one generation. Because it goes really quite deep. It goes to your own understanding of your ancestors and your own self-understanding as a member of a particular nation.
The teaching of this dark history is in all areas of German culture.
The Holocaust is taught so thoroughly in classrooms that my 3 Jewish children at various points in their school days said, enough already.
It is illegal to deny that the Holocaust was real. With a few exceptions for the sake of education, it is also illegal to make, sell, or display any symbols of the Nazi era. Instead, memorials of remembrance are everywhere to honor the array of victims of the Nazi regime. So what comes after acknowledgement and accountability? Reconciliation. The US can learn to reconcile from the past. South Africa formally introduced apartheid in 1948. Apartheid was an extremely violent system that enforced restrictions on Black people. It controlled where they could live and work. Resistance to apartheid within South Africa took many forms over the years. After spending 27 years in prison, Nelson Mandela was released in 1990, and negotiations to end apartheid formally began that year. Apartheid formally ended in 1994, following the country's first democratic election, in which Mandela was voted president. One of the first acts of the new parliament was the Truth and Reconciliation Commission Act. The TRC was a set of hearings for victims and perpetrators of apartheid to openly speak about the disturbing past. Its premise was that perpetrators of abuses would be given amnesty for their crimes in exchange for speaking the truth. The hearings were broadcast regularly on national television.
Which I never want to underestimate because it was so important to so many people, which is to find out the truth. And it placed a lot of emphasis on Black people forgiving white people for what they had done to us. And it was heavily criticized, both at the time, but in subsequent years, that criticism has grown even sharper for precisely that lack of attention to justice and the real focus on what I would call a sentimental, very emotional, but not structural response to white supremacy.
Despite the faults with the TRC, it did leave South Africa in a state where it couldn't deny the horrors of apartheid.
One of the huge strengths of the South African curriculum is that it does acknowledge what happened and it doesn't leave anybody in any confusion as to the reality of apartheid, what happened, how it affected people, and how it was overcome.
Students' textbooks highlight human rights abuses, racism, resistance to apartheid, and Black leaders. In Robinson's research, she observed some 9th grade classrooms where students are required to do an oral history project where they interview someone who was affected by apartheid. But because schools are still heavily segregated, the race of the teacher and race of the students plays a large role in how the history is received.
For example, what I found in my research was that white students saw the main legacy of apartheid as being racism. So the legacy existed very much on the emotional level. And that meant that if people stopped being racist, then all of the problems relating to apartheid would end. And that was also very much how it was taught, whereas the Black students were much more eager and willing to reflect on their own families' lives in relation to apartheid and to use apartheid to explain why their families were still poor or why their families were still struggling.
So, we've established that the US could learn from Brazil by acknowledging its racist past, Germany by taking accountability, and South Africa by reconciling the violence people endured. These three countries understood that they could not move forward without getting everyone on one accord. But one step without the other is not enough. Will the US ever fully tell the truth about its past?
Will it? Will it? I don't know. I don't know. That's a good freaking question, Freaking will the US acknowledge their past? Woo, bruh. They trying so hard not to do that. They push against critical race theory. They won't teach Native American history after 1900. The history that they do teach is totally distorted, and I think that everybody suffers as a result of that. Black people, white people, Hispanics, everybody suffers from a history that's tainted, because then we don't have a good view of how we got where we are today. And that's where people walk around so confused. Oh, there's no racism in the United States. Bruh, there's been racism in the United States before the United States was the United States. It's a fundamental part of the United States. Now, maybe that could change at some point, but it hasn't. It hasn't. It's still there. It's still a real thing. So when you walk around thinking that racism don't exist in the United States, you are delusional. And that's probably because you wasn't taught proper history. Because if you taught history, you would know that it's alive and well, buddy. Alive and well. Also, one of the things they said in the video that struck out to me was how, like, after apartheid, where they was just kind of like apologizing to white people and then giving them amnesty so they can tell what they did. That sounds like a very neoliberal response to me. And, that's the politics today. I think maybe that started back then in the 90s, but the neoliberal shit, oh my God, it causes so much confusion. It's like whoever did something wrong, freaking punish them, bruh, period. There needs to be made an example so that everybody else can know that if you do this shitty shit, something's going to happen to you. There has to be consequences and repercussions, because if there's not, then people are just going to continue to do what they do. And we have this neoliberal shit where we freaking allow people to just get a slide, and then we make a statue of George Floyd and act like everything's supposed to be okay. Oh, kumbaya. Meanwhile, black people still getting killed on the side of the road by the police. Anyways, there's been a bunch of crazy shit in the news lately. I don't know if y'all saw that shit about that dude outside of Washington, D.C. I think it was outside of Washington, D.C., and he was going to blow some shit up, Definitely one of those, like, QAnon Looney Tunes. I mean, no offense to you guys if y'all follow QAnon, but I'm sure you don't. If you decide to blow yourself up in a truck outside of Washington, D.C., I get to call you a Looney Tune. So it is what it is. Here's the story right here.
We're living in a free country, Joe.
A Trump-supporting conservative has now surrendered after a 5-hour-long ordeal with Capitol Police over a bomb threat in downtown Washington, D.C. And during this entire ordeal, the man was live streaming on Facebook on and off, and I'll show you a couple of those clips in a second. First, let me show you what this looked like. Here he was on the Capitol sidewalk here in front of the Library of Congress in his black pickup truck. And I guess this person just happened to walk by while this was all going on. He ended up calling the cops on himself to try and get the attention, and that's when he began live streaming, and I'll show you some of that in a bit. But first here, more details from BuzzFeed News. At approximately 9:15 a.m., U.S. Capitol Police responded to a disturbance call outside the Library of Congress, where a man in a black pickup truck with no license plates was making bomb threats, U.S. CP Chief Thomas Manger told reporters. In the live streams, the man demanded that President Joe Biden and other prominent Democrat politicians step down, accusing them of killing America. He identified himself as a Southerner and called on other patriots and Southerners to join him on Capitol Hill to begin a revolution. Clearly, that plan did not work out. Now, in terms of his comments here about accusing Democrats of killing America, I'm going to get to something in a second here where apparently on his Facebook, he discussed issues with his health care. So I'll get to that in a second. First, I want to show you a couple of these clips that were able to be captured before Facebook took down his page.
If you blow my truck up, man, hey, it's on you, Joe. I'm ready to die for the cause. And brother, if you said if you could do anything to save one life, you said you'd do it. Well, you got a chance. I want to go home Sunday. I want to go home and see my wife. We're living in a free country, Joe. Choice yours. If you want to shoot me and take the chance of blowing up 2.5 city blocks, because that toolbox full. Ammonium nitrate, it's full. I don't want to die, Joe. I want to go home. I'm telling you, my windows pop, this bomb's gonna go. It's made for decimals. Your military experts that you let get their legs blowed off are the ones that built this. And if you don't think it's real gunpowder in there, boss man, there's gunpowder in there. And this is some of the strongest shit you can get. And it's full. I got 2.5 pound of tannerite. Go ahead and get them on the building. But I'm telling you, Biden, if these windows pop, this bomb goes. And there's 5 of them here.
All right, so my impression of these videos is that this guy is really lost in his own head. He's directing all of his comments to Joe Biden. You see him there mention Joe several times. I think he says Biden once. He is directing all these comments to Joe Biden, thinking that he can get Joe Biden to step down by having this bomb threat and saying there, you know, Joe, you could save one life, meaning his own life, as in if Biden steps down, then I won't, go through with this. Clearly, I don't know. This is what decades of propaganda does. And you're going to see, this is a guy that ultimately, if he has issues with his healthcare, as I'll get to, then he should really be on the progressive left. He should be supporting people like AOC and Ilhan Omar. But that is obviously not the case. So let me show you some of his Facebook likes here. This was shared by Emily G. He, Citizens for Tobacco Rights, White Lives Matter, Defense of Freedom, U.S. Patriot News. I'm sure most of these here are right-wing pages. Also, marijuana. Nothing against that. As I told you many times, marijuana is a bipartisan issue. The vast majority of Americans support marijuana legalization, so no issue there. But Donald J. Trump, or Trump Jr., and Donald J. Trump and Fox News, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, a guy of many interests. But this is where we get to a little more here. So from Emily G saying, Facebook posts include a regular array of right-wing proto-white nationalist talking points, including anger at transgender people being allowed into the military, black on black and black on white crime, anti-masking, anti-democratic party sentiment. You notice a lot of here, it's all about the cultural issues. This is what the right uses, Republicans use as a distraction mechanism to distract away from the fact that Republicans don't care at all about healthcare, don't care at all about actually helping people, about raising wages. Their economic policy is ultra conservative, always propping up the corporations and the wealthy. But here he is deeply engaged in just the cultural distractions that Republicans put out. But this is where we get to the interesting part. So Emily G shares here Facebook posts on how his now deleted profile from May of this year show him talking about how he's a dead man walking. One of his streams, he talked about healthcare getting cut off. If this is the case, then you should be supporting Bernie Sanders, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, the Justice Democrats that are actually fighting for universal health care. But here's a guy who's a Trump supporter. Trump did nothing in terms of health care. He claimed way back in 2015, before he became president, that everyone's covered under my health care plan. This is what Trump claimed. Of course, he was lying the entire time, as he did with everything. But this is a guy who should have recognized over 4 years of Trump that, hey, my health care still isn't covered. But instead, now he's angry at Joe Biden and Democrats, who I guess, yes, they don't support Medicare for all, but I don't think that's his ultimate issue here. This is a guy who's deeply, surrounded in right-wing culture that is all about
deranged. Just deranged. Just to finish off your thought there, buddy. Throw the hell off. And that's not a racial thing at all. I mean, like, anybody can be throw the hell off. Like, just lost in the sauce, man. It happens to a lot of us. Here, let me play this.
And with breaking news, though, from Houston's north side, Houston police tell us homicide detectives are at a home where a woman in her 70s was found dead.
This is happening at a home off Granville Drive near North Shepherd Drive in Acres Home. KPRC2's Roseanne Aragon live with the newest information in this investigation. Roseanne?
That's right, guys. We literally got on scene just a couple of minutes ago, and I spoke with the family of that deceased victim in this case. The family has identified the victim as their loved one, 72-year-old Doris Williams. The family says it happened right here behind me where Williams had lived. It happened in the 700 block of Granville near North Shepherd, where at 1 o'clock this afternoon, Houston police had gotten a call of a suspicious death. The Houston police arrived this afternoon with the son of the victim, Williams, and the son had said that he used the key to get inside and found his mother dead. Houston police are still working on figuring out exactly what led up to the death. The family tells me they are so tight-knit that they noticed she was not responding to any calls yesterday night, and this morning, after several tries to get a hold of her, they were not able to. Now investigators are on scene right now. We know the medical examiner is en route to determine more evidence and to decide to determine more of a cause of death. Right now, family say they are hoping for justice if in fact this is a suspicious death, though investigators tell me this could also possibly be a death of natural causes. There are still lots of questions here. Again, we have just arrived on scene. We spoke with that family who say they are heartbroken and they are right now looking for answers, and we will try to get as much information on this.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. That's right over there in the hood. That's why I showed that, because I got family that live right in that area. I used to live out there. What are you going to do? Craziness, craziness, craziness. Let's do this. YouTube. Let me see. Okay. I want to play this for y'all because this was funny to me. I don't know if y'all can hear me. It's really funny to me. Check it out.
She's really scared now.
Okay, no more. Okay, damn. Oh, man. Yes, the typical effect I have on children. And most people. Okay, Bambi. Sonia, what? Yeah.
Oh, so y'all can hear me? Damn, I didn't know. So the little kid is scared. She thinks the white guy's gonna eat her. She never seen a white guy before.
Come.
She thinks he's a cannibal. They're abusing this child because they're gonna make him. They're gonna make her, like, I think, shake his hand or something. It's abuse. It won't eat you. He said. She said it won't eat you.